Good evening and welcome to live coverage of the Coalition Cup, presented and hosted by TSR, RRL, RWB, and I am Rob Lomas, doing the commentary this evening live from Zandvoort in the Netherlands on the 2019 variation of the Grand Prix circuit here. Hence why there's still a massive great bank at the final corner. Not as part of the circuit, but it's in fact for the spectators. It's Calvin White on pole position from Nigel Wood, with Radek Pavlicek in third ahead of Arthur Grah, Clive Britton in fifth ahead of Philip Clark, Trevor Minton in seventh, and Al Gartner joining him on row 8. Martin Hughes and Mad Al rounding out the top 10 ahead of Joao Carapo in 11th, RWB Charger in 12th, and Dirk Gretschel in 13th place on the grid. Of course, everyone this evening is driving exactly the same car. It's an Aquila CR1 from Denmark. Just got a quick couple of minutes, a wee little warm-up session here. I've already partaken in a warm-up session of my own this evening. No kind of vocal warm-ups or anything like that for those wondering. It was, of course, a trip down the pub, except I was with the parents this time. But nonetheless, we're only just under 90 seconds or so away from everyone going to the grid for what is race 3 of 8 this season. There's 2 rounds per meeting as Joao Carapo leads the drivers wanting to take part in a quick warm-up lap, maybe to just check to see what the tyre pressures are like, perhaps through the opening sequence of corners. Of course, one thing worth noting is that the Aquila CR1 from, as I was talking to some of the drivers who took part in the opening round of the championship, that actually the Aquila, you really do feel through the steering quite how heavy it is. The steering feels heavy. So through some of the faster corners on the run out towards the back of the circuit, like the Rob Slatemacher box, and Schevelak, and also the Arie Luijendijk box, the final corner here at Zandvoort, actually you really will feel the steering properly weight up. And yeah, so it should be quite a physical race for the drivers indeed this evening. So warm-up has finished. We're just waiting for everyone to jump onto the grid. About 45 seconds or so for any last minute setup changes. So just going to wait to see who wants to make any changes and then join the grid. The grid seems to be filling up quite nicely as things stand, with about 20 seconds or so to go. We're going to have a full field of cars heading down towards Tarzanbocht in the not too distant future. So red lights are on at the moment, and we're just waiting for them to go out now. And the first race of the evening is underway. 25 minutes of racing here at Zandvoort. Good start from Wood we're currently looking at Arthur Grant at the moment, who's about to send it up the inside to go into second place on the way, on the brakes into Tarzan box, which he does. Tarzan box being the slightly banked right-hand hairpin there, but Calvin White's managed to just about get the position back on the exit of the corner, heading into turn 3 now and into the hairpin at turn 4. Currently looking at Mad Al as he is battling with RWB Charger and moves up into 10th place. Charger being in the Gulf liveried light blue and orange car. Mad Al being in the slightly darker blue car there. Battle very close for P3 between Arthur Grant and Radek Pavlicek at the moment. Keep an eye on things between them as they head in towards the infield now. Part of the new section that was built in the late 1990s to extend the circuit somewhat. As you're looking at Clive Britton and Martin Hughes battling away as Trevor Minton gets a slowdown penalty for track limits abuse. Clive Martin still passing his way away as they head down the back straight, hard on the brakes in to this almost U-bend shaped corner. Someone running a little bit wide there at the exit as they head into Kumo box now. Hughes in 7th place. Trevor Minton, who we are currently riding with in the John Player Special liveried car, in 8th place at the moment. And heading out to the IRE line day box onto the pit straight once again. Trevor going to pull out of the slipstream, maybe have a look up the inside into Tarzan. Can he pull it off? Yes, he can. So Trevor Minton is now up into 7th place. Next driver behind as Martin and Trevor get a bit physical there through the hairpin. Trevor's still showing as being ahead of Martin. We're currently looking at Radek Pavlicek and Arthur Grant at the moment, so they head through the Rob Slootmacher box into Sjevelak right now. Part of the classic old school circuit here at Zandvoort. Those of us who are old enough to remember the good old days in the 70s and 80s will remember that this track was absolutely fearsomely quick as Arthur Grant, I think, maybe has a little bit of a mistake there. And, a bit of a collision there with Philip Clark, and there's cars going all over the place. Clive Britton's actually gained quite substantially out of that through some very good car positioning, but Clark is now down to 9th place, battling away with Mad Al. Al has the inside for this corner here. Got Al Gartner just in front of him. There's Dirk Gretschel, or is that Radek Pavlicek? Excuse me. Yeah, Pavlicek's had a bit of a moment somewhere as well. Pavlicek was battling with Arthur Grant for P3, so I'm not 100% certain what has happened to him to be down in 13th place, but one thing I do know is that Radek is a fantastically quick driver, so should be able to get past Dirk quite easily and quite quickly, I'd imagine. Gap's in about 0.3 of a second, depending on how much damage he's got, though. And then should be able to close up to this battle between Charger and Carapo here as they head through Sjevelak now. A battle between Mad Al and Philip Clark. Clark wanting to try and regain maybe a couple or few positions in the remaining 20 laps or so of this race. Mad Al starts battling with Martin Hughes for 7th. Head down the back straight now into this fairly tight and technical chicane section. A 90-degree right-hander into a 180-degree left-hander. Does also look like kind of a U-bend almost, which you can get from many reputable hardware stores. It's usually in the plumbing section. Meanwhile, Trevor Minton about to have a look up the inside of Clive Britton as they head into the Tarzan box once more. Clive able to hold on around the outside of the corner. To have a break for turn 3. There's a battle for the lead. Nigel Wood gets the lead at the inside of turn 4 from Calvin White. Heading up through the Rob Slopemaker box once more. White well in the slipstream. I don't think he's going to be able to get a job done at Shavelak. You do need a very willing fellow driver to even consider making a move there. On board with Calvin now. Head through this double hairpin section. Down to just second gear for this left-hander. Coming out of the corner now, hard on the throttle. And heading down the back straight once more. Hard on the brakes once again for the chicane at the end of it. And what I think might even be actually the slowest part on the circuit. As well. Still battling as well away as they come out of the Ari Lyndike box once more. Nigel Wood sticking very close to the pit wall indeed to hold the inside line for Tarzan. And in turn forcing Calvin to try and have to go the long way round. Looking at the battle between Gretschel and Pavlicek, although Hughes is going very slowly there, I've noticed, coming out of Tarzan. So this is now a three-way battle for 11th. Hughes wants to get there, and Pavlicek, I think, getting pushed up into the wall there by Gretschel, who was trying to avoid hitting the back of Hughes, unfortunately. Battle for the lead still going on. Calvin White still doing all he can to try and find a way past. But is he going to have a look now? He's going to have to go the long way round, and in fact manages to... They're swapping positions like you wouldn't believe, and through the chicane there as we look at Charger and Carapo. Clive White showing as being in the lead from Nigel Wood. Carapo not quite close enough here at the Hans Ernst box. And heading out of the Ari Lyndike box once more. Down the pit straight here. Of course, it used to be a lot longer, this straight. In fact, some of the emergency vehicle access road there used to be part of the Grand Prix circuit back in the day. Oh, a bit of a collision there between Calvin White and Nigel Wood. Nigel really having to back out of it there to try and avoid getting a penalty. He's dropped back to being out 1.2 seconds behind Calvin as we speak. Meanwhile, Arthur Grant and Clive Britton are battling away for third place at the moment. Grant holding the inside line very tightly out. Shavelak into kink here. Given that these killer CR1s have a big old V8 in the back of a big old General Motors crate engine, in fact. The relatively simple aero stylings and everything else, they almost feel more akin to a kind of an old school Grand Am Daytona prototype in a way, given the relative amount of power compared to the aerodynamics. Raced a few years at the Palanga 1,006 kilometers in Lithuania, usually qualifying on pole position but braking before the end of the race, I should add. Britain thinks about having a little look around the outside there of Gra. Has a look up the inside of turn 4 there, not quite able to get the job done fully. Going to try and stay in the slipstream through Rob Slotemacher box. Over the crest now, down the hill on the brakes. Down a couple of gears into Shevlak. Heading out there. This is actually also allowing Trevor Minton to catch up to them, which it has. Now three-way battle for third place between Grant Britton and Minton. Al Gartner currently running very strongly as well in 6th place. Oh, excuse me. So, a quick update further down the field. Radek Pavlicek's damage limitation run is going quite well indeed at the moment. He's up into 11th place, having passed both Carapo and Gretschel. Still just over a second or so away from Martin Hughes in 10th. Britain going to the outside. Grant taking a defensive line into Tarzan, running a little bit wide there. That's going to allow Britain to go up the inside. Next corner is a right-hander, but this one coming up is a left-hander. Britain, oh, not quite close enough to get past on the brakes. Grant holding a very tight line indeed through the hairpin. Heading out now, up the hill towards the Rob Slotemacher box. Battle's as close as it's been all race. Britain thinking about maybe having a little look up the inside into Shevlak, perhaps not quite. Not really close enough. Into the new infield section they come now. Minton going to have a little look up the inside, perhaps, or not. Again, not quite close enough to be able to force the issue on Clive Britton. Britain taking a slightly tighter line through that corner. Minton running a little bit wide in the background there. That's going to lose him a few tenths or so. Cracking bit of defensive driving from Arthur Gra to basically just park the car on the apex on the inside and make Clive have to go the long way round, and in turn even forced Trevor to have to go around the outside as well. Oh, there's maybe a little bit of contact there between Britton and Gra at Tarzan when they were all on the brakes there. Through the inner section of the track now, through the hairpin at the back of the pits, and up the hill again they go. Into Shevlak once more, still looking between them. It's the closest battle on track at the moment, which is why we're still looking at it. Now looking at Trevor Minton in the almost John Player special-esque livery on his car. Black with the gold pinstripes on it. Quite a tight line through the hands-on spot. Maybe not the best. We see Mad Al running quite wide over the curbs there just at the exit. Minton dropping back somewhat, whether that's due to tyre wear or just wanting to try and focus on the final corner. 100% sure. Britain again looking this way, that way, the other way, having to go around the outside at Tarzan. Again, still not quite able to get the job done. Coming up through the Rob Slopemaker box once more again. Not close enough to maybe have a look at Shavlak. Gra going down to third gear to try and get the his car a little bit higher up the power and torque band, up the rev range. Though it's a big old V8 in these cars, so there isn't exactly a shortage of torque. It's fair to say, and this is allowing Minton to close up again. Gartner just getting a little wide there in the background. Hard on the brakes now for the hands-on box. Is Minton going to have a look at the inside? Oh, not quite close enough to get the job done. Through Kumo box. Once more, Minton again running a bit wide, but keeping his foot in to try and keep momentum up. Still fairly close to Britain and Gra. Britain trying to sell Gra the dummy and have a go at the inside. Gra going a little bit wide there. Is Britain going to be able to get the job done? No, not quite. Again. Some race between these drivers so far, as Calvin White still leads from Nigel Wood. Battle here for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Sorry, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, excuse me. You got Mad Al in 7th, Clark in 8th, Hughes 9th, Pavlicek now up to 10th, Charger 11th, Gretschel 12th, and Carapo rounding out the field. Britain going very far to the outside there. There was a car on his inside, I noticed. Britain with the inside for this corner. Able to exit the turn fairly cleanly, coming over this little crest here. Hard on the brakes for the hands-on box. Oh, a little bit of contact there, I think, between Minton and Britain. That's enough to let Mad Al have a go at getting through. Mad Al able to get past as well. Sorry, not Mad Al. Al Gartner, excuse me, able to get past for 5th place. Minton dropping back to 6th. Calvin White gets a slow down penalty for track limits abuse meanwhile. Heading out the Ari Lyndike box once more. Gonna have a look up the inside perhaps. Ooh, maybe not quite able to get the job done. There is Trevor Minton. This is allowing Mad Al to catch up as well. keep an eye on the battle between Gras and Britain for third place. Heading into Shavelak again. I think maybe about 3 more times they've got to do this. But it also means 3 laps for Minton to try and somehow get back up into 5th place. Britain still trying to find something that vaguely resembles way past Gras for 3rd. Minton tries desperately to do the same. Meanwhile, Gras and Britain side by side heading through the Kumo box. Now Gras on the inside once more. Britain going to have to try and tough it out around the outside. Through the Ari Lyndike box, they come onto the pit straight now, side by side. Is Britain going to be able to get a draft down the pit straight? Not quite. This has allowed Gartner and Minton to catch up as well. But Clive Britton still very much glued to the back end of Arthur Gras. They head up towards the Rob Slotemacher box once again. Almost side by side through there. Hard on the brakes now into Shavelak. Off into the infield they go. Gras still holding on from Britain. As Minton has a look up the inside of Al Gartner and manages to get back into 5th place. Now thinking about having to try and find a way past Clive Britton, whilst Arthur Gras is still racing away in front, coming through the Ari Lyndike box for what should be the penultimate time. So looking at how long's left on the clock. Britain going to have a look around the outside again, side by side through the Tarzan box, but Gras able to hold on the inside. Britain having to try and go the long way round, and that in turn is bringing him back into the clutches of Minton. Minton having a little bit of a moment there on the way into the hairpin at the back of the pits on the grass, allowing Al Gartner and Mad Al to catch up for good measure. 5-car train snakes its way over the dunes and down the hill once more. Minton thinking about trying to go a long way around, having to maybe have a go at the inside, but quite able to get the job done. Meanwhile, Britain is going to have a look up the inside of Gras. Has he got the position? Not quite there. Side by side, you can't actually see Gras because he's almost in the blind spot. Effectively, there he is there. Able to get back past. Is Minton going to be able to have a look up the inside? He briefly is, but Britain has the inside for the next corner, which comes straight after, and he's able to hold on to 4th place. Meanwhile, there should be another lap after this one. Minton almost side by side with Britain there coming down the pit straight. Meanwhile, Calvin White hasn't really put a wheel wrong all race, to be fair. Coming up to the last few seconds now, and he's still in the leaders, coming through the Rob Slotemacher box for the final time in this first race, down into Shavelak now. Fourth gear down to third for that little kink there, deceptively fast maybe. A little bit faster than it looks in a GT3 car. Down to second for these double hairpins as well. As Mad Al gets past Al Gartner for 6th place on the final lap. That was our WB Charger, I think, stopped at the side of the circuit. Maybe out of fuel. Dirk Gretschel sails past him there up the inside, but it's going to be Calvin White taking the win from Nigel Woods. Meanwhile, the battle for third place is going to be Arthur Grah, who, after a race-long scrap, just about holds on to third place from Clive Britton, Trevor Minton, Mad Al in 6th, Al Gartner 7th, Clark in 8th, Pavlicek 9th, Martin Hughes in 10th place. There's Joao Carapo there in the background. And meanwhile, Dirk Gretschel coming through the Hans Ernst box now is going to take home 12th place as the last classified finisher, through the Ari Lindijk box he comes. And across the line to come home in 12th as RWB Charger is still parked up at the side of the circuit there at Shavelak, presumably with no fuel in the tank of the big Aquila CR1. Charger appears to be absolutely stuck there on idle at 1600 RPM. No sign of anything resembling forward motion on the dashboard. Time's out just there. Pavlicek with the fastest lap of the race as well. Really a case of what could have been for Radek Pavlicek at the end there. Another quick warm-up session ahead of the second race this evening. This one being a bit longer. And we'll see how that goes and how the drivers cope. There will also be a pit stop in this race to change tyres and no doubt maybe even refuel as well. Nobody really wanting to risk it during the warm-up. Understandable to be fair, apart from Radek Pavlicek, it seems we'll be right back in a sec, come to think of it. And we're back. Just a quick trip to grab some stuff. Lights are currently on at the moment. And we're away. I think Dirk Gretschel may have just received a full start warning as the field streams down to turn one. Radek Pavlicek in 4th place so far. So actually maybe having a slightly disappointing start to the race was in the first race. Might have actually been to his benefit. Still Gretschel, Hughes, Carapo, Pavlicek, Clark, Minton, Grant, Al, Britton, Wood and Gartner. WB Charger, I think, having some issues this evening, causing him to miss the start of the race. Gretschel, I think, actually has a drive-through penalty as well for his what the game deemed to be a jump start. Someone going through the gravel there, coming out of Shavelak. Currently looking at Clive Britton down towards the rear of the field with Nigel Wood. Holding the brakes for the Hans Ernst box once more. There's Clark just getting past Mad Owl there. It's Grant and Minton just in front. Well as Carapo, Pavlicek, Gretschel and Hughes. Hughes in the lead from Pavlicek as Dirk Gretschel comes into the pits to serve his drive-through penalty. Currently watching Wood and Britton battling away for 8th place. As things stand, there's Minton. He's going to have a look up the inside of Carapo in the final part of the during the Rob Slatemaker box. Excuse me, that intent's going to send him out wide. Maybe give Grow an opportunity. Not now. Shavlak's not ideal as a place to try and make an overtake. In all honesty, doesn't usually tend to work well from experience. Minton still on the back of Carapaud as they come through this twisty section here. Down towards the back straight now. Hard on the brakes at the end. Minton gets past Gra there. Both still battling away. Is Gra going to get forced wide? Oh, slightly, a little bit there. Thought they were both side by side for a minute, but tucks in behind Minton. Come through the Kumo box, and for Minton to go very wide on the exit of Kumo. And he's gonna have to yield there on the outside of the Ari line dyke box. That's going to send him dropping back at least a place. Yes. Cuts over to the inside to try and hold the inside at Tarzan from Maddow, which he does. Wood and Britton still battling away as Britton goes up into 8th place ahead of Wood. Calvin White just there in 8th now, sorry, 9th, excuse me. Wood down to 10th, just behind, sorry, just ahead of Gartner, excuse me, just behind White. Britton now battling with Clark for 7th place. Heading into this twisty section here. Minton having just lost a position to Clark and having just got back past Clark as well, although having lost a position to Maddow. So Maddow up into 5th place, Minton 6th, Clark 7th. Now looking at Carapaud. Gra has found a way past. Minton and Clark battling away there quite heavily. Gra now up into 3rd. Ahead of Carapaud, then Owl, then Minton. And then the rest of the field all in the same shot, same frame. Mazal on the inside of Joao Carapaud. Battle going on for the lead between Hughes and Pavlicek. Then Gra, then Owl, then Carapaud. Minton 6th, Clark 7th, Britton 8th, White 9th, Wood 10th, Gartner rounding out the field. Pavlicek going a bit wide there. Coming out the hairpin. Britton and Clark still battling away for 7th place. See Minton just up ahead there in the black and gold car in 6th. Move there maybe by Calvin White past Wood. Bit door banging between them. That's going to allow Al Gartner to close up a little bit. Battle still raging on between Wood and White. Wood able to hold on this time around though. Everyone's in very close company indeed. Meanwhile, out front in the battle for the lead, it's still Hughes and Pavlicek. Pavlicek not really close enough to be able to have a look up the inside into Tarzan this time around. Time will surely come though. still line astern Hughes and Pavlicek. Pavlicek coming through Shavlak now, edging up into this little kink here. Through this double hairpin section where there's no really obvious braking markers to try and spot in a big GT3 car, so that does make it quite a fairly tricky section of track. At least here you find your braking marker quite easily once you get over that little crest there. Keep it tight, don't try and understeer too wide out of the exit of that hairpin at the hand zone. Sparked into this battle between Clive Britton and Calvin White, still raging on. Minton's dropped down to last place behind Gartner. Gartner in the yellow car, White in the green and white car. The white and almost teal, I'm guessing, car. Is that Britton's? Pavlicek goes around the outside, heading into tyres and box, and manages to hold on to it this time around. So Radek Pavlicek has moved up into the lead of the race here at Zandvoort, with half an hour still to go in race 2. Also, still got mandatory pit stops to come as well to change tyres and no doubt get some more fuel pumped in. Whole gaggle of cars coming through the Rob Slomack box. Shavlak through this little kink here as well. Almost stretches the entire way from Gras to Minton. In fact, the gap between the majority of these drivers is only a couple of few tenths. There's maybe one or two exceptions, such as Britton and Clark. Britton being just over a second behind Clark at the moment, but for the most part, it's still fantastically tight indeed. Calvin White has a look, trying to get past Al Gartner, not quite able to hold on to it and get the job done this time around. Through Kumo box into the Harry Lyndike box. And down the pit straight once more as the lights start to appear a little bit brighter. Gartner taking a very high line through Tarzan. Thought that might be enough for White to be able to get the position. Not quite. Battle still raging on here. Oh, a little bit of contact there. Bit of a hip and shoulder between Calvin White and Al Gartner. No doubt that will be looked at post-race. White's able to move up into 9th place as a result. Still a battle going on here between Carapo, Wood, Clark, Britton, White, Gartner and Minton. Head through this more technical, twistier section at Zandvoort, down the back straight now. Once again. Oh, thought that was maybe going to allow White to maybe have a little go there. Not quite. It's enough to see Carapo dropping back a wee bit though, past Wood. Past Clark, past Al as well. Excuse me one sec, I'll be right. And sorry about that. We're normal service is resumed. Place at the moment still Pavlicek, Hughes, Gra, Al, Wood, White, Clark, Carapo, Gartner, Gretschel, and Minton rounding out the field. Maddow thinking about making a very brave move, move around the outside of the Kumo box. That sees him ever so slightly offline there for the Ari Lindike box afterwards. Don't think he's going to be close enough on the brakes there into Tarzan. Not quite. Heading into Hairpin Hill, which, if I remember correctly, is named after John Hugenholtz, the man who designed Suzuka and Harama, among other circuits. For the Rob Slate-Macker box now. Al in the slipstream. Not going to be able to get the move done at Shavelak. You'd have to be quite brave to try and have a go there. Deciding discretion very much is the better part of valour. It's nice to try against the move at forcing the move at Shavelak. White and Clark battling for position. White still just ahead in 6th place ahead of Clark. Gra and Al still battling away as well. Al putting up a very, very good fight indeed so far. Not going to be able to get the move done at Tarzan, but it's going to have to go the long way round. Let's go a very long way round indeed. Gra holds on to the position. I was going to say, this is great news for Martin Hughes just ahead of them. You can see Hughes just out of shot there now. There he goes. Why is this allowing Nigel Wood to catch up behind them, but are also slowly but surely closing in on Hughes for 2nd place. Pavlicek having a decent lead of about 8 or so seconds on Hughes in 2nd, and then Hughes with about 2.5 seconds to Gra, then Al, then Wood. Al having a little bit of a moment there on the brakes into the Hans-Ernst box. Allowing Nigel Wood to close the gap up somewhat. Car pulling in the background into the pits. That's Nigel Wood. So Nigel coming in for his pit stop almost exactly halfway through the race. See all the riveted aluminium, some fancy carbon tubbed modern LMP2-esque prototype. This very much isn't. Hence the comparisons with the old Daytona prototypes I made earlier on. Through Shavelak into this little kink here. Coming out these double hairpins here down the back straight, you can see. You could see just there, that's where some of the National Circuit and the Östlich circuits are. Part of the old club circuit, they're just going past there. Al Gartner up the inside of Carapo. Able to move up into 7th place on the way into the Hans Ernst box. The latter escape road we saw there has actually formed the club circuit, which for about 10 years or so was actually the main circuit. In fact, the only circuit here at Zandvoort. Such was the amount of land that had to be sold off to effectively stop the circuit going into bankruptcy altogether. Al Gartner comes into the pits. Phil Clark getting a slowdown penalty for track limits abuse. Some part out on the far end of the circuit is now actually a centre parks resort, if I remember correctly, although you can still kind of see from above where parts of the old layout used to be, in fact. Anyone on the RWB International Discord server, I might actually post the where I think everything was a little bit later on this evening after the race. Then again, this is why I am in fact actually quite boring, and probably why I am still very, very single. Heading into the Kumo box right now is Mad Al and Arthur Graf for that matter. Very much closing the gap to Martin Hughes. Everyone running a little bit wide there. I think maybe drivers starting to struggle with tyre wear a bit as Clark runs. Oh, sorry, Clark actually decides to stay out wide, going very, very wide though, and then flying back across the track to come into the pits. Hugenholt's box now up towards the Rob Slate-Macker box. Fast right. The hill through the left right-hander over the crest down into Shavelak. Part of what made the old Zandvoort such a phenomenal circuit to drive is just the way it flows, the arm at the side of the track. Of course, don't get me wrong, this new layout is a fair bit safer. I mean, for the most part, you actually have gravel traps, which you didn't really have on the old Zandvoort, apart from maybe at Tarzan. Out, not quite close enough to be able to have a look here at the Hans Ernst box this time around. Should be a good few more laps to come here, as that's Martin Hughes coming into the pits now. Going to move Gra and Al up through the field. There's Clark deciding to come in this time by Gra, taking a defensive line there to hold on to second place from Mad Al. Havlicek pulling out a big lead. Meanwhile, there's Dirk Gretschel up to 7th. I wonder if there's something wrong with Al Gartner's car, because it's still showing as losing lap time hand over fist. But there is a yellow car parked in the pit lane. right at the exit there. Not 100% sure what has happened. Minton not quite able to hold on to get past White, excuse me. Calvin White still holding on to 8th place. Not for a lack of trying though, as Martin Hughes gets a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Battle now for 8th place. Minton sending up the inside there. Is he going to be able to get the job done? Not quite for Calvin White has the line on the next turn. Meanwhile, Gra in the lead. As Pavlicek and Al have come into the pits. I'm assuming Madow's in the pits, for there was no sign of him on track. There's Dirk Gretschel now up into 3rd place. Carapo's up into 4th. Pavlicek still showing as being in 2nd. Calvin White, Trevor Minton still battling away for 7th and 8th. Carapo 9th, Hughes 10th, Gartner blacked down unfortunately. Minton still trying to find a way around. Calvin White and's not quite able to get the job done again there. About to come through the Rob Slatemaker box and into Shavelack. Not ideal as an overtaking opportunity. But it's not going to stop Trevor Minton from having a go anyway, and somehow not 100% sure how he's managed to do it, but he's managed to get past Calvin White on the fastest corner of the circuit. So fair dues to Trevor for having the guts to send it. Fair dues to Calvin as well for being somewhat willing and giving Trevor a bit of racing room there as well. Gra is in the pits for his pit stop, which sees Pavlicek feed back into the lead. There's Gretschel coming in again now. I say coming in again because Dirk served his drive-through penalty earlier on. It's Nigel Wood. There's Gra coming out of the pits just ahead of Mad Owl. Just under a second between them, but Mad Owl does have the benefit of this thing called tyre temperature. No doubt brake temperature as well, for that matter, come to think of it. Minton still holding on to 6th from Calvin White. Minton running a little bit wide there at the exit Hugenholtz box, which is going to give Calvin the chance to have a look. Maybe not quite down to Shavelack, although, oh, who knows, frankly, at this point. He's going to have a try anyway, not quite able to force the door open enough to be able to have a go at Shavelack. Heading to this double hairpin section now. He's going to turn in. He's on the inside lane. He's going to get the position for this part of the corner. Whether he's going to do it for the next part, I don't know. Not quite close enough. Minton still holding on to 6th place from White. Carapo being the car you can just about make out in the background there. Clark just in front of Minton as well. Mad Al right on the back of Arthur Gra once more. Al putting in another very, very good job indeed. I don't think Al is going to be racing at Catalonia this weekend, as he's also one of our lead stewards on the RWB International Endurance Series, so getting a bit of racing in beforehand. I'll be on comms for that as well. Heading back onto the newer part of the circuit here at Zandvoort. This battle for third place. Grant just positioning the car where he needs to position it. Calvin White, meanwhile, is taking some pretty funky looking lines to try and see if he can find a way to get back past Minton. Not quite close enough though. Mad Al still glued to the back end of Arthur Gra. There's Wood just in front of them. Pavlicek is about 15 seconds up the road from Wood. No doubt we'll be keeping an eye on how long's left on the race clock and trying to work out roughly where Pavlicek is to see how many more laps we got left to run. Gra still holding on from Mad Al under immense pressure as well. Al trying to force the issue through Shavelak, not quite able to get close enough there. I think Gartner's had some kind of technical issue. He's showing as being plus 5 laps. Mad Al not quite close enough to be able to send out the inside into the Hans Ernst box. Gra taking some increasingly defensive lines there. I mean, this much of a defensive mindset, I'm pretty sure Everton Football Club will be trying to contact him at this rate to try and fix their issues as they bid to, well, try and not get relegated from the Premier League. Now having to maybe have a go look around the outside. No doubt be music to the ears of Martin Hughes, I'd imagine, as if I remember correctly, said during the previous round of the Endurance Series at Spa that he is actually a big Liverpool fan. So, yes, this is quite an interesting time indeed. No doubt the way Mad Al's been driving, Everton should also hire him as well to provide some lessons on how to attack the opposition and put pressure on them. Something which Mad Al is putting a lot of on Arthur Gra, and something which Arthur Gra is doing a most wonderful job of being able to hold off and just keep focused on what he's doing. I'm not saying Everton are going to be getting relegated, but they are definitely in a bit of a relegation dogfight at the moment. Gra now still battling away through the Kumo box now. Only about a couple of attempts, if that, between them. Al going to try and get into the slipstream again this time around. Going over to the inside line. Al going to have to try and go the long way round once more. Unless he tries to dummy it. Which he doesn't. Through this little section here now, up to the Hugenholt spot. Again, not quite able to get the job done. Through there. Through this Rob Slotemacher box now. Into Shavelak once more. Oh, maybe a little bit of a mistake there from Maddow. You can see the gap visibly extend by a couple of cars lengths. Coming to maybe make a slight correction there around. Just gonna have a try and go around the outside, get the cut back there. Or at least get back into the slipstream for the run down the back straight to the Hans Ernst box. Hard on the brakes once more. Gra once again parking the car on the inside. Still holding on to the position. Through Kumo box now. Al keeping some steering lock on there. Keep to treat it as one double apex corner that really does open out onto the pit straight. Less than a couple of attempts in it now. It's going to be this lap and probably one more. Al still not quite close enough to get past Gra. Another look there, perhaps at Hugenholtz. Through the Rob Slotemacher box once more. Currently the closest battle on track so far. Into Shavelak now. Now into this double hairpin section. This is as close as Maddow has been for some time. He's going to pull out the slipstream here. Gra is making him have to go the long way round for the first part at least. Al backs out of it somewhat. Although Gra makes a mistake there and ends up running through the gravel briefly. That's going to let Maddow go through into third place. So now the positions have turned here at Zandvoort. There's going to be just one more lap to go as Pavlicek has already started the final lap of the race. All Maddow has to do is do what Gra has been doing for the last probably 10 minutes or so and just defend like crazy. Heading through they go now, but meanwhile, out front, Radek Pavlicek has about 16 seconds on Nigel Wood in second place at the moment. Heading through this double hairpin section here now onto the back straight. The clock has ticked down to 0. So there's only about 4 more corners to go for Radek Pavlicek. Should be able to get the job done, you'd have thought, in the position he's in. Hasn't put a wheel wrong all race. And is coming out of the Ari Lyndike box now to cross the line and win the second race this evening in the Coalition Cup. Currently looking at Nigel Wood in second place, such is the gap between Pavlicek and Wood. Wood is only just coming out of the Ari Lyndike box now to come across the line to claim second place. As Minton has just got Parr and Clark are battling away for fifth place. Meanwhile, Mad Al is going to hold on to third place there on the final lap from Gra. Battle for fifth here. Clark has just managed to get the position and hold on at the end of the race from Trevor Minton. Calvin White is going to come home in seventh place. Joao Carapo is going to just about hold off Dirk Gretschel for 8th and 9th. And there's Martin Hughes, who is about to come around the Ari Lyndike box now to take 10th place. Al Gartner, unfortunately, retiring from the race, with Clive Breton and RWB Charger doing the same as well. Pavlicek showing complete and utter dominance by not only winning the race, but taking the fastest lap by 8 tenths of a second. Talk about domination from a driver. That was some going indeed from Radek Pavlicek to win the second race here this evening. Zandvoort in the Netherlands. The next race of the Coalition Cup is going to be at the Lausitzring in Germany, which, to make things a little bit more interesting, we're going to be using the variant which was first used in DTM last year, using turn 1 from the oval circuit. In the meantime, coming up this weekend, we've got the 12 hours of Catalonia this Saturday. It's going to be tremendous fun indeed in the RWB Endurance Series. But that was round 2 of the Coalition Cup 2, presented by RWB, RRL, TSR and SCB. My thanks, as always, to Nate Newcomer for hosting the stream. I've been Rob Lomas on the lead comms this evening. And as always, it's bye for now.